Welcome to the Mothership Lexodus. The material shared in this transmission explores esoteric history and symbolic psychology through figures whose lives or philosophies were often controversial. It is not an endorsement of their choices or dogmas, but an archetypal inquiry, a study of how light and shadow, masculine and feminine, power and devotion have danced through human consciousness. Our intention is to translate taboo into transparency, to reveal the energy patterns beneath the mythology. The goal here is not to glorify nor to condemn, but to witness how archetypes evolve through humanity's ongoing dialogue with the sacred and the profane. Listen as an observer of symbols, not a seeker of saints. Let discernment be your compass, and remember, every archetype, no matter how charged, is simply a fragment of your unfolding. Take what resonates and leave what disturbs. Integrate what instructs. We enter the field of October 12, 2025, a 4-frequency day beneath Libra skies. The number 4 in Vortex math is foundation, form, framework. After the expansive mirror of the 1010 gate and the expressive release of 1011, 1012 arrives at the grounding current, the day we anchor the architecture. Libra season, ruled by Venus and measured by Saturn, speaks of beauty meeting boundary. It is the divine feminine in dialogue with structure, the heart negotiating harmony with the mind. In the sky, the sun's light filters through the scales, a balancing beam between desire and discipline. The question whispered through today's current is, can the seen and the unseen share the same temple? 3 lives mirror this gate, each carrying the code of polarity embodied. The first being Aleister Crowley, born October 12, 1875, known as the Magus of the Western mystery tradition. The second is Alyssa Scott, born October 12, 1993, modern enchantress and vessel of the Venusian current. The third being Kirk Cameron, born October 12, 1970, the evangelist actor, the guardian of faith and moral structure. Each carries a different strand of the Libra spectrum: the occultist, the performer, and the preacher. 3 mirrors of how humanity wrestles with liberation through form. Their counterpoints, Jack Parsons, October 2nd, and Jeff Bezos, January 12th, in versions of the same portal date. Extend the line of code outward, showing how the same frequency expresses through technology and empire. Together they form the pinnacle of polarity: will, magnetism, devotion, invention, and structure, all converging around this 10-12 field of balance. Crowley's name still invokes both fascination and fear, but beneath the theatrics he embodied the Magus archetype, the one who refuses to compartmentalize God. He believed divinity was not a distant idea, but a current to be invoked directly, through ritual, through the body, through will. In the language of alchemy, he worked from sulfur, the masculine principle of fire and desire. He sought to awaken the God force within, yet his method, radical freedom, often scorched his own vessel. He represents the first half of the equation: illumination through confrontation. Crowley was not balance, he was ignition. He forced the collective to face what happens when light forgets humility, when liberation becomes indulgence. In this portal, Crowley stands as the solar will, raw, burning, defiant, daring God to meet him eye to eye. Fast forward a century, and that same archetype reappears, not in ritual chambers, but on television screens. Alyssa Scott, known for Wildin' Out, channels the Venusian current: magnetism, humor, play, and charm. She embodies the Scarlet Woman, not through invocation, but through presence. Where Crowley conjured the feminine principle through ceremony, Alyssa embodies it effortlessly, through frequency. Her voice, movement, and charisma move energy. The modern enchantress no longer hides behind incense and sigils. She lives in plain sight, transmuting attention into connection. Her challenge is the one we all share in the social age: how to remain sovereign when your radiance becomes commodity. Her magnetism reminds us that the sacred feminine does not need apology, it simply needs agency. She stands as the living Venus, reclaiming erotic power as creative power. Then comes the counterweight, Kirk Cameron, the moralist, the preacher-actor whose path radiates faith, order, and conviction. He is the archetype of solar devotion, the structure that guards against chaos. If Crowley's work was do without will, Cameron's is thy will be done. Different languages, same longing, union with the divine. He channels the masculine's need for meaning and containment, yet his shadow is rigidity. When devotion hardens into dogma, the container becomes a cage. Still, his archetype is vital in this Libra field. Without the guardian, the enchantress burns out. Without the devotee, the magus has no mirror. He stands as the keeper of the gate, reminding us that liberation without structure collapses into noise, and structure without love becomes control. Parsons, born October 2nd, took Crowley's metaphysics and grounded them in mechanics. He built rockets that allegedly reached the heavens while invoking gods to bless the flame. He represents the fusion of science and mysticism, the proof that technology and magic share a blueprint, intention harnessed through precision. He is the architect of fire, his shadow, consuming himself in the same explosion he sought to master, the eternal risk of rubido, when one becomes their own experiment. Still, he stands as a figure of synthesis, the engineer who dared to pray through invention. And then the pattern repeats in the secular sphere. Through Jeff Bezos, born January 12th, the mirror of manifestation, where Parsons launched rockets, Bezos built empires. He turned vision into architecture, idea into infrastructure, abstract current into planetary commerce. His work manifests before frequency in its purest form: systems, scale, precision, permanence. But the shadow remains when expansion forgets empathy. The temple becomes a warehouse. Still, symbolically, Bezos is the form that the enchantress, the magus, and the engineer all needed. Proof that will can indeed become world. He embodies the deity of systems, the part of us that wants to organize the infinite. At the heart of this decode lies the eternal riddle of the alchemical marriage: sulfur and mercury, fire and water, masculine and feminine. The red work, the rubido, is not about domination, it's about coherence. The scarlet woman in this context is not sin, she is synthesis. She is the divine feminine, reclaiming her throne within matter, not above it. Her redness is not shame, it's blood, it's life, it's vitality, returning to the temple. Crowley sought her through ritual, Parsons through chemistry, Scott through embodiment, Cameron through sanctity, and Bezos through material architecture. Each is chasing the same truth: that the divine feminine cannot be owned, only honored. She is the pulse beneath every creation, the womb of form itself, and Libra season is her courtroom, where opposites come not to argue, but to reconcile. Today's portal invites you to locate these archetypes within yourself. Ask, where do I resist my own magnetism? Where do I hide behind discipline because desire feels dangerous? Where have I built structures that no longer serve the pulse of life inside them? Do you carry the original fire of Source in your daily decisions? How you balance devotion with freedom, structure with softness, and faith with curiosity. To integrate today's current, engage your own alchemical marriage. Breathe into the center of your chest and whisper, I honor both the fire that dries me and the water that holds me. That single sentence is rubido in motion. As this portal stabilizes, the collective psyche moves from theoretical integration to practical embodiment. The coming week brings opportunities to apply what we've learned through creative collaboration, boundary refinement, and ethical manifestation. The Divine Feminine continues her liberation, not through rebellion, but through mastery, through remembering that beauty and structure are not enemies. This is a season of equilibrium, where will becomes wisdom and desire becomes design. The current whispers, the visible and the veiled were never separate. They were simply waiting to remember each other's name. Thank you for tuning into the Current Consciousness Report. If today's transmission resonated, continue the dialogue within the Mothership Lexodus network. Our Discord channel, where seekers, creatives, energy workers, and therapists alike study how cosmic archetypes express through everyday consciousness. Also, deep acknowledgement to the teachers, mentors, and voices of consciousness, seen and unseen, who continue to illuminate these pathways of remembrance. Their writings, practices, and lived integrity remind us that no current of wisdom exists in isolation. We learn, we unlearn, and we return together. Keep your signal clear, your boundaries sovereign, and your awareness tuned to the currents beneath the noise.